kids. Miss Lisa here. How are you? I haven't seen you in so long. I miss you so much. I really wish we could be doing this in person over at Kid City, but soon maybe, right? Okay, maybe soon. Fingers crossed, saying our prayers, making sure that we can ask God all the time that things would be better so that we could get together. I do. I do every night. All right. So today we're going to have a lesson, but first we're going to review. We're going to review our memory verse we learned last week, and then we're going to review what you've learned from Mr. Todd and Miss Sue in the last 2 weeks, okay? Because we started something new. All right. So first, we're going to do our memory verse that we did last week. And here we're going to read it off the cards before we say it by ourselves. Ready? So this was the new verse from last week. Let's read it together. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger. Oh, this is easy, right? This is easy because it completes our story. Remember the story that we're telling in our memory verse about how the shepherds were there and then the angels came, and now the angel is telling the shepherds what they need to go find, and this is what they need to find: the Savior, the Messiah, a baby. All right? So we're going to say that verse all by ourselves right now with no help from the card. Ready? This will be a sign to you. You will find the baby wrapped in cloths, lying in a manger. Want to do it again? Ready? Here we go. This will be a sign to you. You will find the baby wrapped in cloths, lying in a manger. Let's do it one more time because I know this one's easy. Ready? This will be a sign to you. You will find the baby wrapped in cloths, lying in a manger. Remember that beautiful baby we saw in our video last week? I know he wasn't very beautiful, but that's okay. That'll help you remember when we talk about the baby, all right? Lying in a manger. So that was our verse for last week. Keep practicing that one and put it together with the other verses that you've already learned. We've learned a ton of verses, right? You want to try to say the whole thing together? Let's try. Let's try. Why not, right? Let's see if Miss Lisa can remember it, right? Let's start at the very beginning. Ready? And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. And an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He's the Messiah, the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You will find the baby wrapped in cloths, lying in a manger." So see how the new verse makes total sense when you put it all together with the other ones? Good. All right, keep practicing. You know, we're getting close to the end. I think we only have 2 more short verses to go, and then it'll be all finished. And if you can say it all by yourself, all the way through beginning to end with no help, you get the big prize. Ooh, it's so exciting. Okay, the other thing we're going to review is the lessons that you learned the last 2 weeks from Mr. Todd and Miss Sue. So what are we studying now? What are we studying now? The 10 Commandments, right? So Miss Sue started when she taught you the first couple commandments listed, and they all had to do with God, right? Do you remember that story that she told you? The first couple commandments are honor God, love him and don't have any other gods before him, and don't take his name in vain. All right, so those were all the commandments that had to do with God. And Miss Sue told you that there were other parts of the Bible that talked about those commandments, like when Jesus said, "This is the first and greatest commandment, to love the Lord thy God." Okay, so those first 3 parts of the 10 Commandments were all about God. Now, last time, in the last lesson, Mr. Todd taught you about a very special day. Do you remember what the name of the day was? Yes, that commandment is honor the Sabbath day and keep it holy. So Mr. Todd taught you all about how you can honor the Sabbath day and how you're supposed to rest. Why are you supposed to rest? Because on the seventh day, God rested when he was creating the world. So if he rested on the seventh day, then he wants us to rest on the seventh day. Now, Mr. Todd also told you, right, that not everybody picks the same day to rest. The Jewish people rest on Saturday. Generally, Christians rest on Sunday, right? So it doesn't matter as long as it's the seventh day, all right? A day that you pick that's the seventh day. All right, so those were the first parts of the commandments that we learned. Today, we're going to learn 2 more commandments that have to do with family. All right, so these 2 commandments are very specific to how people in a family are supposed to treat each other. Here's the first one, Exodus 20, verse 12. If you want to look it up in your Bible, you can. And it says, you shall not, it says, honor your father and mother, that your days will be long on the earth. That's the first one. So that's talking about the relationship between kids and their parents. The second verse is Exodus 20, verse 14. And it says, you shall not commit adultery. What does that have to do with a family? What does that even mean? I know, it's such a weird, old-fashioned word, and people don't really use that word today. So let's start with that first. Let's figure out what it means, right? You shall not commit adultery. Adultery is what happens when a husband and a wife are married, but they don't love each other, they love other people. That's adultery. So the commandment is really that a husband and a wife are supposed to love each other. And they're supposed to treat each other good, and they're always supposed to love each other and not love other people. That's what that verse is all about. Remember, these 2 commandments are about family. So that's the relationship between your husband and wife, your mom and your dad, right? Let's go back to the other verse, all right? This is the tough one. Well, at least for us, right? For you guys. The other one is honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the earth. So what does it mean to honor your father and your mother? Honor is kind of a word we don't use a lot either. That word's used all the time in the commandments because it meant something very serious back then. We don't really use the word honor, but what does it mean to honor your mom and dad? Well, there's a couple different ways that you can honor your mom and dad. The first one, you knew I was going to start with the first one, right? Which is, you're supposed to do what they tell you to do, right? Obey your parents in the Lord, for this is good. That's what it says later on in the Bible, right? Obey your parents. That's tough, isn't it? It's hard sometimes to listen to your parents. They're always telling you to do all these things you don't want to do, right? I know how it is. They tell you to clean up your room, and they tell you to eat your broccoli. And they tell you to play nice with your brother, even sometimes when he's not playing nice with you. And they tell you to do all these things that are really hard to do. But what does God say? God says you're supposed to honor your father and your mother because that's his commandment. So listen to your mom and dad and do as they tell you. And I know you've heard this 100 times. They're only telling you that stuff because it's good for you, right? I know. Sometimes when you're a kid, you want to just decide what's good for you all by yourself. I felt like that too. I felt like I knew what was good for me. I could eat Fruity Pebbles all day, and that would be good for me instead of broccoli. Yeah, but you really can't. You can't eat Fruity Pebbles all day. It'd make you sick. I love Fruity Pebbles. All right, there's other ways that you can honor your father and your mother. And a second way is that you show them that you love them. There's all kinds of ways that you can show your mom and dad that you love them, right? You can say, I love you. That's a good way, right? You can give them a big hug or a kiss. That's a good way to show your love. You can do things for them that make them feel special. That's a great way to show your love. That's also a way to honor your father and your mother. It's not really all about doing what you're told, because that's how most people think about this commandment, but it's also some other things, like showing them how much you love them. And another way, the third way you can honor your father and your mother is to help them. Oh boy, moms and dads need help. I should know. I'm a mom. And when my kids were little, I could have really used a lot of help. I was all by myself, taking care of them all the time. And sometimes they were a lot to take care of. And then I had to take care of the house, and I had to cook dinner, and I had to clean up the yard, and I had to take care of the dogs, and I had to drive everybody everywhere, and I needed help. So a good way for you to honor your father and your mother is to help them. There's all kinds of ways that you can help them, right? You can do your chores without being asked, or do an extra chore that you were never asked to do. You can ask them what they need. Mom, what can I do to help you today? She'd probably be so shocked she won't even know what to say. But if she answers, then you can do what she tells you. I'm sure she'd have a good way for you to help. So those are a couple ways that we can honor our father and our mother. That's our commandment for today, the family commandments. Don't commit adultery. That means mom and dad should love each other. And honor your father and your mother. Now, like I said, most people think about honor your father and your mother as obeying what they tell you to do. So I wonder if there's a way that I could explain to you or show you how to really obey. Okay, this is Hildy. Hildy is a dog that we're fostering. She's just staying with us for a little while. So let's see if Hildy knows how to obey. She already did it. Ready? Sit. That's a good girl. Sit. That's a good girl. All right. Sit again. Stay. Stay. Give me paw. Good girl. Good girl, Hildy. That was excellent. Can you stay? Stay. 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 Come. Good girl. Oh, isn't she good? She obeys very well. Okay, this is Scout. You know Scout, right? Let's see if he knows how to obey. Ready, Scout? Sit. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Ready? Do it again. Ready? Sit. Give me paw. Oh, excellent. Good boy. Stay. Okay, ready? Let's try another one. Those are good treats, right? Sit. Stay. 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 Come. Good boy. He did a pretty good job obeying, right? Okay, this is Jack. You know Jack. You've seen him before. He's already obeying. I didn't even say anything yet. Okay, Jack. Can you sit? Oh, very good boy. That was a good sit. See, they already know. They're supposed to obey even before I tell them. All right, Jack, can you give me paw? Good boy. Nice job. Give me paw. That's a good boy. Ready? Now stay. 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 Come. Good boy. Nice job on the come and the stay and the sit. He did a good job, didn't he? All of the dogs did a great job obeying. They're very obedient dogs. Okay, Hildy has one more trick she wants to show you how well she obeys. Ready? Hildy, go lay down. That was pretty good, right? She went to lay down right when I told her to. Wow, those dogs really obey pretty well, don't they? They've been pretty well trained. Well, they're not really well trained, but they do some of those tricks pretty well, right? And they obey. So that's a good way to remember about how to obey. And here's what I'm going to show you about the dogs. And this is why I'm going to ask you this week to be like the dogs. All right? So there's two things about what the dogs do when they obey that I want you to do this week. Well, there's one thing and then there's one thing I want to tell you. So the first thing is when the dogs were told to do something, sit, come, give me paw, when did they do it? Right away, right? They didn't wait. They didn't think about it. They didn't say, oh, I don't feel like coming right now, and I don't want to sit, and I don't want to give you my paw. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm complaining about being told what to do. Sometimes, do you do that with mom and dad? Sometimes you don't complain, but what do you say? If mom and dad tell you to do something, sometimes you say, why? Why do I have to do that? Did my dogs ask me why they had to sit or stay or come? No. They did what they were told right away. So I want you to think about that this week, about obeying your mom and dad immediately when they tell you to do something. And I have a story for you that was told to me when I was a little kid. And I've never forgotten this story. There was a missionary that came to my church. And he was a missionary in Africa, in a place that had a lot of very dangerous animals. And he had a little son. And his son was named John, and his son was about 4 or 5 years old. And one day when they were in Africa, the missionary was inside the house, and the son John was playing out under a tree. And he was just playing. I don't know what he was doing, but the missionary walked outside the house and he said, John, come here right now. And the little boy went right to his dad immediately. He didn't stop and say, why, I'm playing, I'm busy. He didn't say that. He came right when his dad called him. And you know what? That saved his life, because in the tree right above where he was playing was a very dangerous snake that could have bit him at any time. If he had waited even just a few seconds after his dad said, John, I need you to come here right now, if he had asked why or complained about having to stop playing, that snake would have bit him. But because he obeyed his parents right away, it saved his life. Have you ever thought about that? That something you might do that's just as simple as listening to your mom and dad might save your life? It happens. It doesn't just happen in Africa with missionaries. It happens here too sometimes. Sometimes your mom or dad will say, stop right there, right? When you're outside, because maybe a car's coming and your mom or dad doesn't want you hit by a car. Those kind of things are so important, right? To obey right away in those situations. But you really should do it in any situation. But I've never forgotten that story. It always reminds me to obey my parents right away. And that's the other thing I wanted to tell you. Obeying your parents doesn't stop when you're old. My mom is still alive. My dad is in heaven now, but my mom is still alive. And even though she's 75 and I'm not going to say my age, but I'm a little older, I still have to listen to my mom, right? Now, she doesn't come here and tell me to clean my room, although if she saw my room, she might come here and tell me to clean it. And then I guess I'd have to do it, right? Because I have to obey my parents. But she doesn't come and tell me to do those things, but she does tell me things, and I take her advice and I listen to her, because that's how I honor my mom now that we're older, and I listen to her. So it doesn't stop once you're not a kid anymore. You still honor your mom and your dad. All right. The second thing I want you to learn from the dogs, and this is very, very important. When the dogs obeyed and did what they were told, what did I do for them? I gave them a treat, right? Did you see me give them a little treat every time they did something that was right? Ah, did you know that this verse, this commandment, honor your father and your mother, is the only commandment that comes with a treat? Okay, it's not a dog treat, thank goodness, because why would I want to honor my father and my mother for a dog treat? But it comes with a promise. The verse says, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the earth. What does that mean? Well, it basically means that you're going to live a nice long life. You listen to your mom and dad and you keep God's commandments, then he promises you that you will have a nice long life. It's the only commandment that comes with a treat, a nice long life. So I love that because that particular commandment is often associated with little kids, right? Doesn't everybody, when they talk about the commandment, honor your father and your mother, they're talking about little kids listening to their parents, right? Even though it applies to everybody, they usually think about little kids. But how great that the commandment that's aimed right at you also has a treat attached, a long life. I like that idea. Okay? Even if you do all the other commandments and you keep them, you don't get any special treat with those. There's no promises attached to do not kill. It just says do not kill, right? But this one has a treat attached. You get a long life. So I want you to remember that, okay? Especially when we do review, because that's a very important part of this verse, that it has a promise attached to it. So why did God give us these commandments about the family? God gave us the commandments about the family so that we could have happy families and we could live together in a nice, happy way. These are things that are supposed to make our families stronger and better. And one of the things that we learn when we're learning the 10 Commandments is that we honor God when we honor our father and our mother. When we honor our families and we treat them well, that also gives honor to God, right? Because we're doing what he told us to do. And that honors God. And it makes him happy. We're just making everybody happy this week, right? Honoring our father and our mother, moms and dads are staying together and honoring each other, and all of that honors God. Oh, you know, there was a day when I was like, the 10 Commandments, that's not so great. I'm not that interested. But now I love the 10 Commandments because it's all kinds of great ways to show God how much we honor him. Okay, so this week, I have a challenge for you. Attached to the email that I sent your mom or dad or your grandma or grandpa is a list of things you can do this month to honor your family. It's not just your mom and your dad. It's also your brothers and your sisters and all that sorts of thing. All right. So the list has one thing every day that you have to try to do. Now, the new month, March, starts tomorrow. Oh, perfect. Perfect timing. The new month starts tomorrow, March. And on that sheet of paper, it has the number 1. So for the first day, you have to do what it says on that sheet. And on the second day, it has something else for you to do. And everything in that list honors your family. So ask your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa to print out the way we can honor our families this month. You put it on your refrigerator, or if you have a tack board, you can put it up there. And then you can check it every day to see what it is you're supposed to do to honor your family. All right, guys, that was our lesson for this week. That was pretty easy, right? Do your activities every day to honor your family and practice your memory verse so that we can get that all together and be able to say that. And I will see you next time. I miss you so much. Mwah! Bye.